When was the last time you were truly bored? For most of us, that moment doesn't even last 5 seconds. The second we feel a gap in the day, we reach for a phone, we turn something on, or we find a way to kill the silence. We've become experts at avoiding the empty moment. But what if that instinct is costing us more than we realized? What if that constant escape from boredom is actually the reason we feel less creative, more stressed, and surprisingly, more lonely? Today, we're looking at why one of the most productive things you can do for your brain is absolutely nothing. There's a growing movement in psychology suggesting that boredom isn't a problem to be solved or a gap to be filled. It's actually a biological necessity. But we live in a world specifically engineered to keep us consistently stimulated, making sure our brains never have a quiet moment. By treating every second of silence as an enemy to be defeated by a screen, we've accidentally started a war against our own focus. The truth is, by eliminating boredom, we may be losing one of the most important mental experiences we have, the ability to simply exist without an external input. And the cost of that loss is higher than most of us realize. Today, boredom has become almost optional. We've built an environment where every empty moment can be filled instantly. Whether you're waiting in line, sitting in the car, or just walking down the street, there's always something to watch, listen to, or scroll. But this isn't just a habit, it's a biological loop. We reach for our phones because we've become conditioned to expect constant stimulation, tiny rewards every time we check our phone. Because of this constant stream of microdopamine hits, we become a world where silence feels physically uncomfortable. We aren't just avoiding boredom anymore, we're losing the ability to tolerate it. But boredom isn't just empty time. It's a threshold where something vital begins to happen. Psychologists describe this as the brain shifting away from the outside world and into a reflective state known as the default mode network. While it might look like you're doing nothing, your brain is actually firing at a high level. This is a state where your mind begins to wander beyond the present moment. You process complex experiences from your day. You think deeply about your life and your goals. You subconsciously connect unrelated ideas into new solutions. The default mode network is where true reflection happens. It's where raw information is transformed into personal meaning. And without these moments of unstimulated time, that meaning-making process starts to disappear, leaving us feeling busy but strangely empty. When we eliminate boredom, we aren't just filling time. We are unintentionally closing the doors to our own inner lives. We eliminate the space to think critically, the space to reflect on who we are, the space to simply be without an agenda. Over time, this constant noise leads to a specific kind of modern exhaustion, the feeling that everything is busy, but nothing is meaningful. It's a state of being overstimulated but undernourished. This happens because meaning doesn't come from the volume of information we consume. It doesn't come from constant input. It comes from what we do with the space in between. Just as music needs the silence between notes to become a melody, our lives need the boredom between activities to become meaningful. So if boredom matters this much, the real question becomes, where do we actually experience it anymore? And the answer is almost nowhere by accident. In most of our daily lives, boredom has been designed out. Our phones fill every gap. Our cities demand constant attention. And our routines are built around staying occupied. We've created a world where silence is rare and mental space is even rarer. What that means is that if boredom still exists, it's usually because something is allowing it to exist. And this is where recreation becomes more important than it might seem. Because not all environments are created equal when it comes to your mental space. Some environments, like a busy street or a glowing screen, constantly tax your brain, demanding sharp, immediate attention just to keep up. But recreation spaces, especially parks, trails, and natural areas, do something fundamentally different. They don't demand your attention. When designed well, they release it. They create conditions where the external noise fades and the internal dialogue can finally begin. In these spaces, The world stops being a series of demands and starts becoming a place where your mind can wander again. In many ways, parks are one of the few places left where productive boredom can actually exist, and that's exactly why they matter. They don't just give us a place to walk, they give our minds a place to breathe. From the outside, it might look like nothing is happening. Someone sitting on a bench staring at a pond. Someone walking slowly along a winding path. But internally, something vital is taking place. They aren't just killing time, they're thinking, processing, and resetting. This is one of the most overlooked roles of recreation. It doesn't just give us things to do, it gives us the rare permission to do nothing. You see, boredom is often what comes right before an insight. We rarely get our biggest ideas while we're grinding away at a desk or staring at a screen. We get them in the shower or on a park bench, because that's when the brain finally has the space it needs to archive the day's data. When we stop the constant input, our minds can finally start organizing the mess, connecting the dots, and surfacing the insights that were buried under the noise. So what if boredom isn't a flaw in our day, but a feature of a healthy mind? What if it's the very thing we've been missing in our quest to stay connected? In a world engineered to capture and commodify every second of our attention, recreation spaces, our parks, our trails, our quiet corners of nature, may be some of the last places on earth that quietly give that attention back to us. They offer us a sanctuary from the constant pull of hard fascination and the hollow reward of a dopamine loop. Because in that space, when it looks like absolutely nothing is happening, the most important work of your day often is. Your brain is archiving, your stress is resetting, and your next big idea is finally finding the room it needs to breathe. So the next time you find yourself on a park bench or walking a quiet path, and you feel that familiar, restless urge to reach for your phone, what would happen if you didn't? What if you just let yourself be bored for 5 more minutes? Try it. You might be surprised at what your mind does with the silence. This is Recreation Matters. If you found this content useful, please like the video to help us reach more people, and subscribe as we continue exploring how recreation works, where it's overlooked, and why it matters.